think that's the right way now. Hopefully. Let me just check. I apologize for the technical difficulties for anyone who does join at any point. I'm just trying to like work out the kinks and stuff. Apparently I am live. There we go. How is that? I think there's some slight delay on this. I apologize. But yeah, this is, I don't know how this is gonna be alright or not. I think we worked it out a little bit. Yeah, there's a slight delay, so I'm gonna have to work that out somehow. Yeah, I'm just gonna see how we're gonna get on with this. Like I said, this is my first time doing streaming on YouTube, so I'm not, sure how this is gonna be or what I'm gonna have to, work out in the future, or if anyone's, even gonna turn up for this. So basically, I'm going to try and do more YouTube live videos, and then we'll see how we go on from there. Within these sort of videos, I'm trying to do more technical painting. So I have this Canon S here, which I'm going to be painting up. So these longer videos kind of afford me more time to talk through more complicated things and also, just have a casual chat as well at the same time. So this Canon S here sits atop this vignette that I made. So this is something I 3D printed. Sorry if the signal's got a bit funny again there. So this is something I 3D printed, and it's like a kind of a church mausoleum type of thing. And I've got some candles there. I've got a book. The book is a little bit too precariously close to the candles, but it'll be all right. It looks pretty cool. I want to try and do some like freehand work on the book. Try and have a look at some examples of that. So this character's going to sit atop that. I'm mainly doing non-metallic metal with this. So like I said, with these types of things, I want to spend more time on them, and hopefully they work out for the best. I'm just trying to look at the lighting as well. So I've got it up on my computer screen at the same time. I don't know if the blue background is not very helpful or not. I could change that to white. It's just because I have my wet palette here, and I usually use this blue sponge paper for my wet palette. So we'll see for now. We'll see how we get on. I might just do this for like an hour or so. I might just move my wet palette a little bit. Hang on. Just working out the kinks. Sorry, I might move this back a bit and then move that forward. Let me move all this crap. I should have organised this beforehand. Sorry about that. This might be a little bit better, so I can see the model better, the less of the blue. I guess so. Like I said, I'm just trying to work all this stuff out. So, non-metallic metal. Go for the golden non-metallic metal on these parts here. Obviously, you've got your silver non-metallic metal there. And then I've done some like reflections of the black areas, if you can see. So around here in the back part, started to do some reflections. So, oh, it's going disastrously wrong today. I'll try and make it better for next time. So yeah, I'm just going to paint this up a bit, and we'll see how we get on. So for the non-metallic metal of the gold, I've used just let me know how the audio is as well, because I'm not too sure on the audio. I'm just doing it right off the camera, so I'm not too sure. Anyway, so I've got some Rhinox hide, so that went down as the first colour for the gold metallic parts. And then what I've done is I've used this orange Jicoca Rio, whatever the heck it's called. Orange, so that's the next layer over the top of the Rhinox hide and the gold. So that was like my next layer. And then after that, I went for some Avalon Sunset. And then after the Avalon Sunset, I went with some like ice yellow. So that's might be a future video I'll do where I talk about non-metallic metal more in depth. It might be more of a Patreon video because videos that are more complicated like that don't tend to do well on my main YouTube channel, so it might be something I'll reserve for like Patreon and things like that. So ideally what you want to do with non-metallic metal, it's like random reflections. So you don't want like a uniform pattern of where the reflections are. You want them a bit more randomized. So to get a better example of that is worth looking at plates of armor or like vases or fireplaces and things like that. You'll see how things reflect off it and create shapes and things like that. So you want them to be a bit more randomized. So I'm going to work on those bits now, and I'm just using a smaller brush. And then we can start on those. So I've just got that orange colour. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of reinforce some of the highlights here, which you've done. So get the small brush and just kind of randomizing it. I don't think it's too bad, the camera, if I just kind of stay still. It tends to be when I move around a bit more, the camera goes a bit haywire. So I might try and do these more on like a regular basis. I'm not sure what times and what days. This is just like a random thing where I thought I'll do it tonight. So just to see how it goes. I'll just turn the light up as well. I haven't done much non-metallic metal for a while because I've been mainly using my like gold, nice gold and silvers from Darkstar Molten Metals. I have like some amazing true metallic paints, so I've been mainly using those at the moment. But I thought I'd do something non-metallic just for fun. I also don't really appreciate that YouTube Live automatically puts your camera in vertical mode and not horizontal, so I had to figure that out because, sorry, this painting handle like gets in the way. Forget about that when I'm streaming. It's kind of a little bit of a hindrance. So I'm just randomly adding that orange. And then after the orange is the Avalon Sunset. So the more highlights I add, the less areas I want to cover. And I'm just putting this onto my palette. It's a nice yellow Avalon Sunset. Really, really nice yellow. I'm just going to thin it down slightly. I still want to have this some control over it. I'll remember next time to make my wet palette paper, not this jarring blue colour. I'll just use a paper towel or something next time because this one tends to be quite jarring on camera. So still kept this paint quite thick. And what I'm going to do is go over metallic. But what we're doing is going over where the orange is, but still keeping that orange there. So we still want a bit of the orange showing. I'm just kind of dotting this on. You have to be a bit more careful when it comes to non-metallic metal on smaller areas like this, because you can easily get rid of the stuff you've done before. But you can always go back over with your previous paints if you want to. So I could easily go back in with like the Rhinox hide or go back over with the orange I've used. Just building this up gradually. And then the top part here. I might go over this again like off camera, like later on or whatever, because it's kind of hard to see most of it. I'm going to try and not move too much as well, because my camera tends to go out of focus if I move. And this is just, like I said, a little bit randomized. So I don't want every single part to look exactly the same with how I add the color, because that's not how reflections like work in the real world. Some parts would be like longer than others, some parts shorter than others where certain colors are. Let's move that out of the way. I think non-metallic metal can be intimidating because you almost like freehand to a certain extent. It's not like a set path, so you have to kind of guess it yourself a little bit. So I'm going to move on to the ice yellow now, just for the final highlights, and then I'm going to go back over, I think, with some of the Rhinox hide. So this is a really nice colour, ice yellow. It's great for highlighting just random colours as well. I use this a lot when I'm painting. Just add a little bit of water. So I don't want this, I still want to have quite a lot of control with this paint, because we're just covering some very small areas and sketching it out. So going back over where the Avalon sunset was, just kind of poking around on that. Very, very minimal. I think it's much easier to do this on like a bigger, like a Stormcast or a Custody, because you have more space to kind of play around with. Whereas on something this small and you're trying to do non-metallic metal, you have to be very careful how much you put on. But obviously, there's a lot of different ways you can paint it. These tiny, tiny bits are quite hard to see with the camera on. So I'd have to probably do these off camera eventually. Very, very small. I really like this model. It's got a lot of this really nice, like, grimdark gothic religious iconography on it. I'm glad these types of models have come back, because for a time there was like no Sisters of Battle. I know we blame Matt Ward for that. Over a time we didn't really have Sisters of Battle or anything very cool and grimdark. I know a lot of stuff's come back like this. And then you've got the Rogue Traders, and then those Preachers and stuff like that. And the Chaos Cultists and things. Which are very indicative of 40k and very like John Blanche. This is a very John Blanche model, I think. Like I said, it's very difficult on smaller things because you tend to, over time, you kind of tend to lose the colors you've used previously. So as you can tell, as like the more highlights I've tried to add, I've lost a little bit of the previous colors. So even though I've tried to do my best to not do that, so I'll go back over with, like I said, some of that Rhinox hide and add some of the shadows back in. I should probably go with an even smaller brush, but the danger with very small brushes is you get hardly any paint on them. So it's kind of good to use a slightly bigger brush and then have more control over it. So non-metallic metal isn't right as intimidating as it should be, really. I think it's just because a lot of the time when people learn to paint miniatures, they learn like the heavy metal way. And the heavy metal way isn't really centered around this kind of concept. It's a very sort of flat way of painting with heavy metal and Games Workshop box art. Whereas if you start to do non-metallic metal, you kind of realize that you can create volume and more of a 3D look on your miniatures. So this tends to be like the first thing people get introduced to. unless you kind of learn to make miniatures from like elsewhere, where you would learn more about what they call volumes. So like how reflections work and how light and dark would work on certain shapes. So we don't just do this obviously for metallic things. You can do these reflections in like I said, the black part here. So the black armor. I'm going to do some reflections in that because black can be a very reflective surface depending on what it's made out of. So we could have some nice sort of reflections off that, which I'm going to be doing. And that's true of any armor as well. So if you're painting up some Space Marines and you like paint Ultramarines, or if you paint Blood Angels or whatever, you can create reflections within those and play around with how light works in those. Very, very tiny details. Very cool. So I'm just going to grab some Rhinox hide and bring this over here. So again, some Rhinox hide. I'm just going to push the shadows back into this. My wet palette is a bit of a mess at the moment. Let's put it there. It's too watery up there. So I'm just going to go back in and kind of push those shadows back into the recesses and such. Could glaze some yellow over the top of this as well to kind of harmonize it all. Doombull Brown's also a very nice colour you can use on non-metallic metal. So like more of a reddy brown colour works really nice as well. But since we're working on such small areas, I've kind of limited the colours I'm going to be using to create like the maximum impact to that. Hello, the troll hole. That's not a reference to Always Sunny, is it? That'd be funny. So I'm just pushing those sort of recesses back in the shadows. Sorry, like every time I move the model, the camera like goes a bit crap. So I'm gonna minimize how much I move the model because my internet's not the best and my camera isn't the best. So we're just kind of working with what we have. Oh, I forgot these parts as well. Crap. So the only thing with like non-metallic metal, there's always bits you forget to do. So I need to add some more things to that bit. I'm just going to look at you. You just missed that. Anyway. So I'm just going back in with the Rhinox hide. Just kind of shaping this back together. Like I said though, it's very like frustrating because the more colours you add, the more you'll kind of lose your previous ones. So you're trying to work those back into it. Okay, so we're not completely bored. I'm going to leave the non-metallic metals there for now. Well, on the gold parts at least. And then I'll just do a little bit more. Because I'll just do those parts I missed. You see that? I'll just move it a bit closer. Can you see that there? It's okay, so I'm gonna just leave that there for now. And then I'm gonna move on to the... Oh, I still need to do that as well in non-metallic metal. Anyway, we'll leave it for today. I'll do it separately again. Or we could do it now. I might do it now actually, so I can go through the process again. So, as I said before, start off with Rhinox hide, is what we're doing. Sorry if I'm a bit all over the place with this today. I'm just trying to sort out how these are going to work. So I'll get some more. Got our Rhinox hide on, yeah. And then get our... Right. Just make sure there's enough. Okay, so the Rhinox hide's down first. And then I grab the orange. Should probably have picked a darker orange than this, but alright. Let's mix some Rhinox hide in. So let's wait for the camera to catch up. Going over where the Rhinox hide is. And it's falling off. Difficult. Right. Going over where the Rhinox hide is. And then keeping the Rhinox hide showing. So let's go around it. I can get the Avalon Sunset. And then a little bit of that over the top, but not too much. And then we can get the ice yellow. And the ice yellow can go over some very small parts. That's just my very sort of quick way of doing that non-metallic metal there. I'll make it neater again, but it's kind of hard to focus on it and do the camera at the same time. So, yeah, like I said, the Rhinox hide, and then you want to do the Avalon Sunset, and then I use, it's the Rhinox hide, the orange, then the Avalon Sunset yellow, and then it goes with the ice yellow. So you just build those up gradually. So I'll show you the colours I've used. Once again, I showed you at the beginning, but if you're just tuning in now. So get our colours together. So basically this is what I've been using. So Rhinox hide, using this orange. I should have probably gone with the darker orange, and then I've gone with Avalon Sunset, and then I add the ice yellow for like the final highlights. So that's how I've been doing the non-metallic metal gold on this. I will get better with the lives, don't worry. Thank you for staying, whoever has tuned in. So I'm going to move on, like I said, to do the rest of the metallic areas. So looking at the sword. As you can see, I've done some reflections on the sword, or started to. So I've sketched these out first. So started off with just like a mid-tone colour. So start off with like an Ashen Grey. And then what I've done is add some black paint to some of the areas. So like I said, it's kind of a little bit more randomized, like reflections. And then I've added a lighter colour as well. So I'm gonna keep adding some highlights to that. So I'm going to use a Ministratum Grey, and then I'm going to create some highlights using that. I'm probably going to mix it with some ivory, just to punch it up a bit so it's a bit brighter. I'm going to mix those two together. Like I said, it's a bit more chaotic and random this video, so I apologise. My palette's like a bit of a mess as well. So I'm just kind of pushing the highlights of the sword. So it's kind of the same principle as the non-metallic metal, that we want to create some reflections and shapes, and then we keep working into those shapes. So I've created these roughly as my patterns for my reflections, and then I just kind of reinforcing these, so just adding a bit more highlights to them. And then I can always glaze back some more colours into them to make them more uniform, which I will do with the gold parts as well eventually. But I've kind of just sketched the reflections out of the gold as well. I'm just punching up the highlights. I'm also going to just edge highlight this part here slightly, so we can see the shape of the sword, because there's like a part in the middle which goes inwards. Then I can push these highlights even more if I want to. So I can go more towards adding more ivory if I want to. And the more highlights I add to the area, the less parts I cover, and sticking more towards sort of the middle. And like I said, you can just keep adding more and more highlights to this. Let's go back over the middle again, that brighter colour. Just gradually building up that sword. You can see it. Just building up the contrast on it, so I can move like gradually more into white or like a bright ivory colour. So I'm going to use bright ivory now. And then the bright ivory, I'm just pushing it into the palette, so just a little bit of moisture. I'm just adding a very small amount of that to where my reflections are. what I can do as well is I can use one of my brighter colours, so I can use that. I might use that Administratum Grey mixed with Ivory first, and then I'm just gonna shape the sword as well. So I'm gonna edge highlight this. Well, I think it looks pretty good so far. You have some really nice like reflections and things. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna glaze some darker colours back over this. Or I might do some. I think I'll do some darker colours first, and then I'll glaze my midtones back in. So I'm just gonna grab some Black Legion, and I'm gonna thin this down. Well, I don't have to thin it down. Thin it down. I'll just keep it quite controlled. I'll thin it. No, I will thin it down. Thin it down a little bit. It's quite an intense paint, this. And I'm just gonna go back over and then just kind of add some shadows, some deeper shadows. Just in like minimal amounts. So where my darker colours are, I'm making them darker, but not going completely over the top with it. I'm being controlled with this. Just very, very minimal kind of reflections. And then what I'm going to do, once that dries, it won't take long under these lights. I'm going to glaze my Ashen Grey just kind of over this. So test this out on the back of my nail. I've already got enough paint on them today. I'm just gonna kind of harmonize this. I'm depositing the most paint in like the darker areas. So starting off in the lighter areas and then kind of depositing it in like the darker areas. I think I need to just kind of punch those highlights up a bit more. It's not the most exciting thing in the world doing non-metallics because it's a lot of tedious back and forth and little bits by little bits. I was deciding whether to stream on here or on Twitch, but I think it's better on here for me because I already have obviously my YouTube channel. I hate when stray hairs get on your miniatures. I'll remove that later. Yeah, so I thought I'd come on here instead. Because I already have my audience, and I'm not a huge fan of Twitch, to be honest. I only really live stream on Twitch, and I still like making my videos. And I didn't want to have to switch to like an entirely new platform as well and try and build an audience on a separate platform as well. Plus, I think it's better for people to watch streaming on YouTube as well than like Instagram Live, because Instagram Live is not the best. So it's looking pretty good for now. I'm gonna leave that there for now, so people don't get bored to death. So like everything will just be gradual. So I'll just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then I'll see how we get on. I'm just gonna have a quick drink because I'm thirsty. Okay, so I'm gonna try and do some of the black armor, very much in a similar fashion to the non-metallic meta. So just gradually building up some highlights, but not just going for like edge highlights where I'd go every single edge. You just like gradually pick different little bits as though they're like reflections. So I've used just black paint, and then to kind of build these up gradually, I used Ink by Darkness. So those were used as like my first highlights because this is like a really nice off black color. So and it's got a little bit of a green tinge to it, so we're going for like green highlights with this. So like I said, it'll be a nice contrast with red. So I've got a little bit on my palette there. I wanted this to be a bit thinner. Oh, sorry, that's already been mixed in with another colour. I'll get some more on my palette. So it's a very like dark green. an almost off black, but you can tell the difference between this colour and black once it's like next to each other. So again, it's just. Also, I just wanted to add, you know how I've done like the reflection on the sword? That's kind of going to be used similar on the staff, and also like the pipe areas as well. But they're kind of very small and a bit too boring to look at. So I'll do the black armor first. I've already started to do it on here. So very much in the same manner as the non-metallic metal reflections, kind of doing them too. So kind of thin that paint down. You don't think it makes a huge difference, but it does. You can tell it's more of an off black colour. So it's like on miniature. You can build this up even more gradually and add black to this first. So I'm just kind of going around the shape of this. Gloves. This is a great way of highlighting black without using grey. I can get a bit closer. That. Sorry if this thing gets in the way. I might not use it next time. See if we can get that into focus a bit more. So yeah. So just thin down the ink by darkness, and I'm just going over around sort of the shapes, and then doing a little bit more random, like a reflection. So I can highlight these a bit more. If I wanted to. Don't think my microphone's muted. I hope it's not. No, it's not. So the next colour, I'm gonna grab a green. I'm going to go for. Oh, sorry. Shaking this up. Sons of Horus Green. Probably shouldn't shake things up on camera because it loses focus. So Sons of Horus Green. And this will be my next highlight over the top. So that's quite a lot lighter. So just going to mix a bit of that into the ink by darkness. Well, I said like next time I'll try and do a different sponge for my wet palette colour because it's a bit too jarring. So just getting the Sons of Horus Green now, and then I'm just going around adding some highlights. And you can, like I said, you can add highlights to black however you like. going around the shape of the model, but at the same time, I'm going to add some randomness too. And you can see that just slight color change is such a great highlight over black. And then I can pick a brighter green if I wanted to. Or I could like mix in some of that ice yellow, a little bit of that into the forest green. So I decided to mix that ice yellow in with the forest green. And I'm just slightly highlighting some parts. So I'm not going over like all of the edges. And then just a bit more. Again, doesn't have to be like every single edge. Give it 5 more minutes, we'll get to an hour, and then I'll have a look back at the video and see how we got on. But thank you to everyone who has tuned in at any point. It's a huge help. Obviously, this helps towards my watch hours, so how many hours I do actually have watched. Right, so probably going to call it done there. I'll try and sort the camera out better for next time. It's not too bad. I think the camera is better if I kind of keep it still more. You can see it better. It's because this camera like auto focuses, so if I keep it clicked on like still on one place, it's too fuzzy. That's the only problem. But you can sort of see it. Like I said though, I think if I keep it more still, and I don't know whether to use this next time or not because it's kind of in the way. But this is the Canon S, sort of the progress I've made. You see I've done the non-metallic metals of the gold. And then we've done non-metallic metals of the sword. I need to do the back part of that and also like the bits of the pipes and stuff. And then also I've done some of the armor, the black areas. So like I said, I'm going for more of like a reflective surface of that, similar to the non-metallic metal, rather than doing like an edge highlighted thing. And like I said, blues are great for that. Blues and like greens and stuff. So I'm gonna call it quits for now. Thank you for watching if you have, or if you do in the future. It's been really cool to paint live again. I'll paint something cool like this. So yeah, thank you.